Hey guys, Junior here and welcome back to my channel. You know, there's nothing that can replicate the anxiety and gut-wrenching feeling the morning of a big presentation or pitch. So I wanted to create a video today to give you guys some tips that I use constantly, whether I'm talking to one person or 100 people, that helps me get prepared in hopes that it can help you too. I've always treated public speaking like sports. Like anything else, talent can get you going, but it takes practice to get really good. But to get to the next level, it takes learning special techniques and tactics to get there. On today's video, I want to share with you guys the 5 hacks and techniques that I use for every single sales pitch and presentation in hopes that it'll help you too. So if you're interested, stay tuned and let's get to work. Now at the top of our list, and it should come as no surprise, but it's practice. A lot of people think that practicing a presentation or a script is going to make you a little too stiff or a little too boring and rehearsed. I agree, but in my case, I think there's a really cool opportunity to do unscripted practicing sessions. I mean, after all, if you don't practice and get good with nobody watching, it's going to be impossible for you to nail your presentation when the time comes and you have hundreds of people in the audience. So practicing your presentation over and over and over again is key, but doing it in a way, in a manner that doesn't force you to be scripted or extra rehearsed is also important. One of the techniques I like to use in this instance is bullet points. I like to talk about the topics that I want to discuss, not necessarily writing out word for word what my presentation is. Too many times I see students, I see business owners looking down at their paper, reading line after line, their presentation that they rehearse, and it's stiff and it's not engaging. A better technique to use when trying to prepare for a presentation is simply using bullet points instead of writing out your script, so you know you have your talking points, you know you have your pace. It keeps you on track, but then you're not a scripted robot and you can keep your audience engaged. Number 1, practice. Now, number 2 on our list is energy. Too many times I see people get on stage and you're hunched over and you're nervous and it's awkward. And believe me, I get nervous too before every single presentation, so I'm no different. But the problem is you never want your audience to see that. You don't want your audience to feel bad for you, because before you even open your mouth, the first thing they notice is how nervous you are, and it makes them feel uncomfortable too. One of the things I like to do to combat this is, if you followed our step number 1, which is practice, you know your stuff, but your nerves and anxiety is really getting the best of you. So one of the things I like to do in a scenario like this is I like to pretend that a member of the audience had just asked me a question. What it does is, since you know the answer, since you've been doing all this practicing, you need to find your lane, get comfortable, drop your shoulders, stick your chest out, and when somebody asks you a question, it's easier then to get engaged, to show the passion, to get your pace and your tone down and start engaging with that one audience member that gave you that question that you absolutely know the answer to before you start speaking, as opposed to looking out in the crowd or looking at the camera and thinking, uh-oh, what do I do now? So, step number 2 is be sure you bring that energy. Now, tip number 3 is nailing your first 10 seconds and your last 10 seconds of any presentation. Now, if you can get your audience engaged within the first 10 seconds and the last 10 seconds they're walking out still thinking about your presentation, my friends, the battle is won. But to nail this, you have to get your micro messaging down. Now, micro messaging is essentially your bullet points that you created in your presentation that you've been preparing for. So typically it's 3 to 5 main key points or talking points in your speech. And you're going to use those 3 points as the body of your presentation. But you want to be sure that you use those talking points to lead and engage the audience in the beginning, and then recap and drive that home at the end. If you use these techniques, I guarantee that your audience is going to be captivated, intrigued, and wanting more. And that's the key to nailing your first 10 seconds and last 10 seconds of any presentation, micro messaging. Now, tip number 4 is get to your comfort zone and get there fast. Now, granted, there's a lot of people that like to just read off a presentation. They like to look down at their notes. They like to just follow their plan and move on. But think about a TED Talk. Think about somebody that's literally standing on a stage with absolutely nothing else. The most engaging TED Talks to me are the ones where the audience is involved, the ones where the presenter has thought about engagement with the audience throughout. not only does it keep us, the audience members, engaged, but naturally it slows and calms down the presenter. I use this very technique on Shark Tank.
Hello, Sharks. My name is Junior, and I'm from the Big D, Dallas, Texas.
What?
Yeah.
Before Shark Tank, I had a 60-minute presentation absolutely scripted out. But a bomb presentation before Shark Tank completely changed my plans. And what it allowed me to do was, instead of crafting a 60-minute pitch, I crafted a 2-minute intro, and then the rest was Q&A. It allowed me to calm down, engage with the sharks, and ultimately sell my product and get a deal. So I would encourage you to find your comfort zone, whatever that may be, and get there fast. Now, my 5th tip today is to prepare for the dreaded technical difficulty. Now, we've all been in the audience when the PowerPoint presentation stops working, the lighting doesn't work, the microphone doesn't work, somebody spills a drink, somebody's cell phone goes off. We've all been there, and too many times I've fallen victim to this myself. We're not prepared for the inevitable technical difficulty. Now, I had mentioned a moment ago, one of the biggest bombs of my entire career came just weeks before Shark Tank, and it was a technical difficulty that almost derailed my entire speaking career. I was on stage with a colleague working the PowerPoint, and what we didn't prepare for was the Wi-Fi going out every single time we started to talk. Now, unfortunately, I had built my presentation based around this PowerPoint and the videos and the talking points that I was going to play. So every time I would talk, my colleague would stop the presentation and say, hey, the slide's not working. You know, the technical guys come on stage. I would have to start my presentation over again. And it happened 5 times, to where the 5th time I was so flustered, I was so caught off guard that the entire presentation bombed. Now, in hindsight, I'm glad it happened because it taught me to always prepare for the technical difficulty. And I think too many times professional presenters or coaches don't talk enough about how to prepare for when things go wrong. So my final tip is always prepare for the dreaded technical difficulty. So to recap our 5 hacks for nailing your presentation. Number 1, practice. Always practice. If you can't get good in front of a mirror, there's no way you're gonna get good in front of 1,000 people. Number 2, energy. Don't forget to bring the energy. We're all nervous, we're all awkward on the inside, but don't let your audience see it. Number 3, nail your first 10 seconds and your last 10 seconds of any presentation, and you'll be golden. Number 4, do not forget to get to your comfort zone and get there fast. 5, and finally, always prepare for the inevitable technical difficulty, and you'll be well on your way to nailing your next sales pitch or presentation. And like always, guys, if you found any value from these 5 hacks to nail your next presentation, be sure you like this video and leave a comment below. I want to hear about your great successful presentations and even maybe the not so great ones that we've all had. And if you guys like this content, also let me know. If you guys want to hear more about my sales pitch techniques, my presentation techniques, I'd love to hear about it. And also, if you want to hear more about my Shark Tank experience, let me know. I'd be glad to post some content specifically catered to your questions. So as always, I'll be posting on YouTube every single week, twice a week. And if you want to not ever miss a single one of my videos, be sure you hit that notification bell and always subscribe to the channel. And never forget, guys, if you give advice, charge a price. Until next time, guys, peace.